Great. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Fantastic to have you all here, and thank you very much for joining us. It's very exciting for us to have our first webinar as Proptech Africa. We were aiming to do physical events this year in Nairobi and also Lagos, but obviously that's on hold, but we hope to do more exciting things next year. But we have a fantastic group of Proptechs that are going to present to you, and also some very learned colleagues from India and Nigeria to shed some light on Proptech in complex markets. So just as by way of introduction, I'm Sean Godway. I'm one of the co-founders of Proptech Africa and also SA Proptech, which is our South Africa association. Proptech Africa is an umbrella organization, so we aim to support and grow Proptech obviously on the continent and the ecosystems therein, but also we work with regional partners in West, East, Southern Africa. And we've recently started working with Brigade REAP in India and been introduced to some fantastic Proptechs as well. So thank you to John Kuravella and his team. And then it's just a very interesting parallels and great activity there. So that's fantastic to make connection. And then we have Roland Igwanova from Proptech Nigeria as well, who's going to shed some light on what they're doing. So we're starting off. Just actually forgot now to share my screen, but just quickly also for our introduction, let's just do this. So yeah, please remember to download our app, which you can see we're asking various Proptechs to register there. So it's a bit of a registry database, and you can network as well with other people who've joined around this event and in general as well. And we're going to use that more and more for news and events going forward. So please do that. And then just a quick introduction to Proptech Africa and the people behind it. So we've had some recent people join us as advisors, which is great. So Wayne Berger, myself, and Kevin Tivarun Kadam are the co-founders, and then we have Sarah Golding, Patrick Katabua, Michael Clampett, Jonathan Yach, and also Roland as advisors. And we're always open to anybody who'd like to get involved and give us ideas, or perhaps help us make some ideas reality as well, because it's obviously volunteer driven, not for profit, but that's who we are. So obviously please get in touch if you'd like to learn more or make contact with us. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first Proptech, which will be Landlord's Tech. So that will be, I believe, Williams. Are you starting us off?
I'll be starting up, yeah.
Excellent, thanks. So I'll hand over to you to introduce yourself and your company. Thanks.
Okay, I'm William Somori from Landlord's Technology, and I have my colleague on the call with me, Ayodeji. We'll be presenting our solution named Landlord's Technology. And the first thing that comes to mind is what Landlord's Tech is all about. When you hear Landlord's Tech, we offer home and small business offices. We offer home and small business office seekers flexible choices for accessing the kind of houses and office space they desire. When it comes to Africa and Nigeria in particular, we have a lot of issues as regards our workspace and our homes. Most times, people really stay far from where they work, and this is why we thought of bringing a solution. Some problems we try to address here is questions like, do I really need a house of my own? Why do I have to commute for about 3 to 4 hours before I get to my place of work? Am I not impairing my life expectancies by spending so much time in traffic? And if you know Lagos very well, the order of the day actually is traffic, where you spend most of your time on traffic. So the first thing here is, do I really need a house of my own? I would say owning a home in Nigeria is in a deficit, and mortgages are high as interest rates and long duration of processing such mortgages, with interest rates standing at 18 to 20% on mortgage. And that alone is a discouragement for people to own a home. So imagine I'm working in Victoria Island and I'm staying far, far, far from where I work. And every morning I spend up to 5 hours coming to the office. That's really an issue. Another problem we identified and we try to solve is, am I paying my life expectancy by commuting these long hours? And Landlord Tech is saying, okay, we have a solution for you. We'll pay your rent for you. That's way you don't have to stay so far from where you work. The reasons why people stay so far from where they work actually is because they find it really hard to pay the rent cost that is associated with such buildings close to where they work, because it tends to be more expensive. So Landlord Tech is saying, don't worry about that. We're going to bring you a solution that makes it very easy for you to pay your rent, even when you live close to your workplace. Irrespective of the cost, we'll break it down and we'll help you pay your rent. And when you start the repayment processes, it's very, very affordable and very, very little. Most people will say, what solutions do we bring to the table? One of the solutions we bring to the table is increased life expectancy, affordable housing for individuals and workspaces, reduction in vacant buildings around our cities, and reduction in carbon emission. Landlord Tech provide these solutions to make life more comfortable for the working individuals and these people trying to set up offices within hybrid areas that find it very difficult to accommodate, to pay this rentage because it's quite on the high side. My colleague will take over from here.
Okay, good to have me here. Yeah, these are product process flow, the onboarding, where the user can search for property, then select the list time, submit application, then we review, then we pay for such customer. Yeah, here is our attraction. In our pre-launch, we are going to partner with top real estate developers in the country. And during our launch, we are planning to launch with minimum 50 property developers. And at post-launch, in a period of a year, we are looking at having a 1,000 property developers with 1 million users on the platform. Here is our business model. In a year's time, we are projecting to have 1,800 properties on the platform, and also with minimum average 150 minimum average user per month, with annually rent of 1 million, and with total turnover of 1.8 billion a year. The market size in this country, the latest GDP report for 2019 reveals that the real estate sector posted a negative growth of 2.36%, a bit lower than the negative 4.74% reported in 2018. Since then, however, the performance of the real estate sector has been lackluster, with the sector recording just one positive growth, 0.93% in first quarter 2019 over the past 16 quarters. GDP growth over the last 3 years, 2017 is 0.8%, 2018 is 1.91%. In 2020, we have 2.27%, has remained below population growth of 2.6%, implying decline per capita income with a 17 million housing deficit. We have some competition in this area, and this like Monster, Rent Small, Split, and Quaba. But in Landlord technology, we're like giving our customer an option to pay with cryptocurrency and also impact of SDG. And what we are looking for an angel investor raising an equity capital of $500,000 and a debit finance of $3 million. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you to the both of you. That's very interesting and obviously important offering in the market. And obviously you're both from Nigeria, and I believe your business will be mostly Lagos, but I'm sure all national. But as we've said, anyone who has questions or queries, you can obviously reach out. The contact details are there. Alternatively, reach out to any one of us on LinkedIn or email, etc., and we can put you in touch with Landlords Technology. So thank you both. That was a fantastic presentation. So let's move on and keep the pace, obviously, on the move. So next we have Gate Pass, and for that we have Muhyiddin joining us. So welcome, Muhyiddin, and take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Sean. I'm just going to share my screen. Sorry, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. So about a year ago, 2 years ago, myself and my brother, we were trying to visit a friend, and we just felt the visit experience was very difficult. We had to call when we reached the gate. Sometimes the security guys felt our cars looked nice and they let us in. Sometimes they didn't. But we just went away feeling that the entire visitor management process was very stressful. What's happened in the next 2 years is us moving from a visitor management solution to a solution that connects residents of communities to their estate managers on the issues that matter. So the way we look at things is, when you look at it from a community resident perspective, the general perspective is that people feel they're being cheated by their communities. They never get to see the important notices. They always have to remind their service or estate manager to fix their service multiple times. And the visitors spend a huge amount of time at the gate and are roughly handed by security. What then happens though on the facility manager side or the home executive side is that you then know that your residents, or you're being told by your residents that they don't trust you. You struggle to collect your dues, and you're not able to be on top of all the different community issues that you're facing. But it even gets worse. As the property developer, asset owner, you're not able to make the most of your data. You're tied into just the conventional source of revenue, which is your service charge. And it's really difficult for you to compare across your facility managers who is performing better and who isn't. And what we've done with GatePass is to provide a solution that's a productivity tool for property managers and an amenity for residents. And residents are able to access their guests easily through the app. They're able to communicate with a single unit, multiple units, and communicate with themselves. You're also able to submit requests, and you're able to make payments. So what I would say is, I didn't come here, or I didn't think this was a pitch presentation. And what I'm going to spend the bulk of my time doing is relating the GatePass solution to the Lagos environment and how GatePass is building the infrastructure that connects local service providers to their communities, thereby creating a circular economy. So with most people that have come to Lagos, what you find is that it's relatively a low-income city, and we have service providers who are not able to generate consistent income in the local communities that they stay in. And typically, traditionally, you would use classifieds to access jobs and requests for local economies. But now residents are turning to social media and referrals. And then you have most of your artisans who are not on these platforms, so they're not able to access the jobs and these services and this opportunity to generate consistent income for themselves. What's even more is that when you layer on traffic congestion and transport fares, it then means that you have residents who are paying above and beyond for the services that they require. And what this happens is you have a widening inequality gap because revenues are moving out of that local community and into another local community. So for example, if I had to order a plumber today, most likely my plumber is not going to come from Ikoyi where I live. My plumber is going to come from Mushi, and he's going to enter traffic. He's going to be there for 3-4 hours. He's then going to layer on that cost, which makes it more expensive for me to purchase his services. But then what then happens is, because you have this disparity and incomes are unable to reside in the neighborhoods that they have, you have more income inequality, you have more crime. And what we really try to do is how are we able to create a circular economy where local providers can be consistently discovered by their residents, and create a virtuous cycle, create jobs, and sponsor livelihoods. And what you then see is that between ourselves and between other service providers or other similar applications in established economies like Nextdoor and Hello Alfred, where solutions or Proptech is now creating a circular economy where local businesses are able to connect directly with the service provider, with the residents that stay in their local communities. And this just helps to create more sustainable cities. And what you then see is that going forward, in Africa and most developing economies, you have rapid urbanization. And so tenant experience platforms really are the way to sustain and create circular economies. It's also worth mentioning that 65% of new residential developments in Nigeria are multifamily developments or in estates or apartment buildings. And this is why we really think these platforms are the future to creating more sustainable and circular economies. So thank you very much. On that note, I think I'm done with my presentation.
Thank you very much. It was a great presentation, Muhyiddin, and obviously an interesting offering, big opportunities in residential. So moving on now from Nigeria to India, we have Tarun from Eco STP. So Tarun, when you're ready, you can jump in.
Yeah, let me start.
Excellent, thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes. Hi all, my name is Tarun, co-founder and CEO of Eco STP Technologies based out of Bangalore. Right, let me start with the problem first. The problem, as many of you know, the wastewater is a huge issue. Wastewater or sewage is a huge issue. I mean, not only India, across the world. So as per the United Nations, 80% of the sewage, 80% is discharged untreated. It's a huge number. Now, how do you treat the sewage? You treat it using a tool called STP, or a machinery called STP, sewage treatment plant. So this is the technology we use to treat the sewage. Now, that also is broken, because this is a minister saying that in India, saying that 70% of the STPs are broken. And that's also a huge issue. And it's not only a case in India, across the world, in many developing countries, the STPs are broken. And why they're broken? Because they're very complex to run. They need a lot of machinery, they need a bar screen, power is a huge issue. And so usually they work for 1 year, 2 years, and they break down. So what we did is we went back and said, guys, how did nature solve this problem? How did Mother Nature solve this problem? And then we found a solution, and this is what it looks like. I'll explain this. It's a contraption. You put bad water in, you get good water out. The water flows to multiple chambers underground. No moving parts. It's a civil structure. It's made of bricks and pipes, and I'll show you some pictures. Goes underground, a structure. It can be in a lawn, it can be in a children's playground, it can be below the road, and all the sewage or wastewater from a washing machine, all waste generated from an urban household goes in the multiple tanks and get treated and comes out. This is based on a cow stomach. That's why you can see a cow picture here. So the cow stomach, how it works, a cow stomach can even digest cellulose. So same concept we incorporate here. So this is how it looks like, which I call the guts of an STP. So it's all multiple pipes, as you see, channels and pipes. So we make detailed drawings of this. We don't sell this pipes. We don't sell this cement materials. It's all made locally at site using locally available labor and materials. So, but we give the blueprint how to do that. A DIY kit, do-it-yourself kit. So what we say is buy the kit from us. You put a concrete and your STP is ready. This is how it looks like. Now, once it's done, this is a picture of an STP. What you see below the manholes, they are the STP covers, which needs to be opened only one manhole once in 2 years for maintenance. That's it. No sound, no power, no chemicals, is as good as you can get. And the plants we see in the left, they does the cleaning, the last stage cleaning. This is another picture of kids' playground in an apartment where the STP is below the space. So this is again completely integrated, what we call as a biophilic design as built in as part of the structure. So customers, we have around 53 customers in India, and we are ready for global launch, and that's why we're here. We want to launch this in Africa because we control from Bangalore, from remote, all these places. Some of the names you may be familiar with. Tata Steel is a customer, for example. We call them change makers. We don't call them change makers because they actually make a huge difference. Now, what are the benefits? These are the benefits. We don't need any minimum load. Normal STPs need minimum load of 30%. We don't need that. We just works with one toilet. So it's a huge and absolutely no power required. Absolutely. So issues we have power, this is a great thing. And you have all the approvals, from all the regulatory approvals we have, absolutely no odor smell, no operators. And lastly, compared to a normal STP, it takes the ROI is less than 2 years. And these are the few testimonials from customers. The change makers, they've gone to YouTube and given testimonial, huge testimonials. United Nations recognized us. United Nations, yes, it's a UN best practice, selected best practice. You can download from there. Museum of Design, Atlanta has recognized us. Royal Engineering Academy from London, we are a leader of innovation. These are our mentors. We saved 77,000 KL water so far. We treated 126 megawatts of power so far. These are our mentors. Brigade, we are here. Mentor, IIM Ahmedabad, Biomimicry Institute, US, Montana, and the Royal Engineering Academy, London. And this is my last slide. It's me and my colleague Prasid. We're the partners in Grime. And yeah, that's my summary of my presentation.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you very much, Tarun. Obviously addressing quite a practical issue, and obviously what makes us realize Proptech within property and real estate and the wider built environment, there's a lot of factors involved, and such systems can always plug into other systems like smart building technology, etc. So the more we have, the better. And as long as you've got those APIs, you can do some really interesting things. So fantastic to see such an obviously environmentally friendly offering. Next, let's move on to our last pitch from also from India. So that's Abhilash. If you could take the stage.
Yes, just 1 second. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Abhilash. I am one of the co-founders of We Got Utility Solutions. The problem that we are solving has also been fairly well documented, including in South Africa when Cape Town ran out of water. So India is very similar. The city that I'm from is a city called Chennai, which also ran out of water. And then we got to thinking, what do we do to not have this problem? I mean, there's only so much water we have. So we are limited with the supply that is available. But what we can control is the demand. So we said, let's build a solution that will help reduce the demand for water, right? And now to reduce the demand for water, we don't have the necessary infrastructure or the information. So this is what we've done. We've built an IoT-based water management platform, which gives you in real time how much you are using. If there is a leakage, you can shut it off remotely from your mobile phone. And it makes you more accountable by making sure you pay for your own usage. This is you as an individual, and then you will also be able to access all this from your mobile phone. For office buildings, commercial buildings, industries, residential buildings, there's also a person who manages the facility. We have a platform for him that enables him to manage the water and audit it in real time. The first thing is we found out was also the device itself. This is on the left, a traditional water meter. This was core and central to why water was not being measured, because it's globally acknowledged that there is more than 30% loss due to just the water meter readings. This is due to poor design, and also it is tamper-proof. So we've built a device that will eliminate all of the challenges, and we've got this certified by the government. Now we will be able to give you over 98% accuracy at a 1-drop level. And also we'll be able to take this data in real time and send this over onto the cloud, and then you will get this information on your mobile phone. So if I go around asking people, how many liters did you use today? How many liters was used in the shower, in the kitchen? What your weekday average is, your weekend average? All this is not information that we have. And realistically, we don't give ourselves chances to save water without this information. This is the platform for the overall community. So you will be able to see on a monthly basis, on a daily basis, what your patterns are. If there is a leakage, it'll show up as an exception. You also have the ability to turn this off remotely. So this gives you a 36,000 feet, 360-degree view of what is happening in the property in real time. This is the app that people will use. You will be able to see how much you're using in total, how much it was in comparison with yourself, with the community, with the entire Winaqua world at large, and how you rank. And you will be able to make payments also on your usage. We're very careful with electricity because we have a bill to pay. We turn off our air conditioners because we have a bill to pay. We turn off our lights because we have a bill to pay. But water, we're a little bit more casual because we don't get charged for it, especially in multi-community buildings in India, multi-apartment buildings in India, when whether it's 3 people living or 5 people living, it does not matter because they just charge a flat rate. So this will make sure there's more accountability. So we've deployed this and saved over 3 billion liters. We're in over 30,000 homes. We manage more than 30 million square feet of commercial real estate. We work with, these are the largest developers, bar none, across the country, both in the commercial side and the residential side. Slowly, we're starting to work with public spaces like Indian Railways. We're managing a lot of railway stations for them. We're doing work with companies like Google. We're doing work with cities also at scale right now, doing pilots for them at least right now. I'll just quickly talk about a use case where, this was a community which was buying 56 tankers of water, and now it is reduced to 26 tankers in about a 3-month window. We've detected 224 leakages, which averages out to 865 leakages per leak. So this is how we've reduced the water consumption. The other thing, this is a residential community. They were spending 161,000 rupees, which went down by almost half and has come down to 75,000 rupees. But what we also found was you don't save only the cost of water or the water itself. You also save on the electricity required to pump this water and treat this water. And it also reduces the wear and tear on your equipment. We've been recognized far and wide, including by the Prime Minister of India himself. We've also innovated on the business model where we give the product away for free and it's a monthly subscription charge. So this is about us, and I'd be happy to connect with anybody if you have any questions. Excellent.
Thank you, Abhilash. That was a great presentation. And again, a very important solution for quite a serious problem. So that was fantastic. Yes. So that wraps up our pitches. So as I said, anyone who'd like to be put in touch, please reach out to us. I've shared my email address there. You can also visit our website or reach out to us on Twitter or LinkedIn, etc. So yes, thanks to everyone. We're actually on schedule, which is quite a rare thing. So thanks to everybody. I am now going to hand over to Jonathan Yach, who will take us through the remainder of the webinar, and he's going to start by handing over to our first presentation. So Jonathan, if you're ready, you can jump in now.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our Africa Proptech Association webinar. I'm going to ask Roland to begin, followed by John, and that will lead us into our panel discussion. Roland, over to you, please. Roland, your microphone.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that, Jonathan. Okay, great presentation. I mean, thanks very much for having me here. And great job that you're doing, the Africa Proptech Association. So I'm just going to talk through. I don't have a presentation prepared, but I'm just going to. What I plan to do today was listen to the pitches and then also kind of put this in a matrix such that we look at what's happening with the general scenario for PropTech in Africa. And I just asked a question to WeGot now, and I was asking what kind of challenges have they faced scaling up. I'm sure during the course of the meeting we might be able to discuss that. Just to kind of understand the complexities around property tech. And I'm very happy with what I've seen, the conversations that has happened here. I see a lot of sustainable development goals impact with the work that's happening. I see a lot of circular economy. I see a lot of zero wastage, which is all geared towards the 2030 sustainable development goals, which is something that we have really been, been a proponent of, And what is a complex market? I mean, India and Nigeria, I dare say, have a lot of similarities. Okay, so for example, if you look across the real estate and infrastructure value chain, okay, we have challenges across that chain. Now, whether it is in terms of accessing land, to titling for the land, to registration of titles, to funding the development itself, to using alternative construction methods, up until the facilities management, which GatePass, spoke about, okay? Or whether it's about the water or the environment that EcoSTP and WeGot have also spoken about. So the complexity of the market, is really, really varied. And across each of these points in the value chain, you will find out that the market has really shown a lot of complexities. But that is where property technology is coming in. And that's where across that value chain, we have to find a solution.
Have we lost Roland?
I think we've lost Roland.
I think we may have lost Roland. He's still showing.
Yes.
I think he might be having connectivity issues. Perhaps, Jonathan, should we move on to John?
Yes, I personally find that what Roland is saying is extremely appropriate, particularly for the fact that Africa and India share a common denominator in that we are both complex markets. And complex markets, I think, is a wonderful opportunity for the participants and for investors. Moving on, as you've suggested, it's my pleasure to introduce you to John Kuruvala. And I ask that, John, if you can present you make your presentation. If Roland is back, we will ask him to finish his contribution. Over to you, John, please.
Yep, thank you, Jonathan. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Let me start by thanking Proptech Africa, Sean, Wayne, Kevin, and Jonathan for giving WeGot, Abhilash, Tarun from EcoSTP, and myself to evangelize the Proptech story globally. Before I begin, what amazed me about your logo, your image, was the fact that if you just keep your eyes on the right, India and Africa are identical. And I'll share, I spent a lot of time understanding similarities and dissimilarities. The only difference is you see hordes of people in India, and that's not the case with Africa. But if you look at similarities, our countries are fairly similar. I mean, India's debt as a percentage of GDP is 68.05%. Our corruption index is 41 in the list of countries. Our population is 1.38 billion. Our GDP is 2.7 trillion. Our per capita income is $2,000. Our debt per capita is $1,376. Our demographics under the age of 29 is 59%. And 13% of India's GDP is accounted for by real estate. And we rank 57 on the global list of innovation. Now, if you look at Africa, I'm talking South Africa specifically, the debt as a percent of GDP is more or less over 50, close to 60%. Corruption index is more or less similar. Where we differ, and this is the dissimilarity, is the population. We are 20x the size of South Africa. GDP, again, because of our size, we are huger. But what's interesting is the per capita income of South Africa is 3 times that of India, which makes South Africa a far more wealthier per person country. But on the other hand, the debt per capita also is increased. But if you look at percentages, India and South Africa are similar. If you look at demographics, and this is the demographic dividend that we talk of in India, identical. And real estate is approximately 2% of GDP in South Africa. This is an interesting slide, interesting part. South Africa ranked 58 in 2018 in the innovation landscape. But in 2019, while India came up to 46, South Africa jumped to 34. So the point that I'm making here is that South Africa is poised to make leaps and bounds on the technology front, especially because it's got a demographic dividend which is under the age of 29. Its per capita income is significantly higher, and it ranks fairly high on the innovation landscape. Let me put the real estate story in India in context. Real estate has the 4th largest FDI, foreign direct investment inflow into India. It was $25 billion. It will reach $25 billion by 2022. But South Africa FDI decreased by 15%. Rapid urbanization of people. The Indian urban population is going to grow by 50% by 2031, and 66% of South Africa is urban. Of course, the real estate market in India is gargantuan. 13% of the GDP of India is contributed by real estate, and it is the 2nd highest employment generator. But if you look at the challenges faced by the real estate industry, and this will be identical to what South Africa is going through. This is a McKinsey report. It's a global report which very, very clearly says that global real estate across the world, the industry, 20% of projects are over budget and 80% are delayed. And the 80% delay is not 1-2 months, average of 20 months. And I'm sure Sean, Wayne, Kevin, Jonathan, you coming from India, Roland, you'll understand that this will be more or less similar in South Africa and Africa. If you juxtapose on that the fact that labor productivity across the real estate industry is the worst across all verticals. I've got data for Germany, United Kingdom, the general economy, the productivity per capita, and the construction productivity per capita, it's been declining. Now, if you look at India, it's identical. And my guess is it'll be similar. The challenges that the African real estate industry or the South African real estate industry is facing will be the same. India, the productivity in real estate is amongst the lowest across all verticals. The only vertical which is worse than real estate is the gems and jewelry business. And things are further worsened by the fact that with this inefficiency, the real estate industry in India invests less than 1% in technology, whereas the industry average is 3%. And 80% of projects in India are over budget and delayed. Now, this is the inefficiency of the real estate industry. If you look at the deficiency in the environment, 39% of all global CO2 emissions are from buildings. 35% of all waste generation is in buildings. And Roland alluded to this. 30% of energy costs are wasted in buildings. 20% of all water consumption is in buildings. And this was a surprising data for me. The indoor air quality in India in buildings is 2 to 5x worse than what's outdoor. And what's worse, especially during COVID times, today, about 95% of our life is spent indoor. So you have the inefficiency of the real estate industry, and you have the radical depletion of resources in the environment, making it a prime candidate for challenges. Let me, Abhilash, allude to this. 54% of India faces high to extremely high stress water stress. 21 cities of India will run out of groundwater in just 5 more years. Abhilash mentioned Chennai ran out of water. And what's the funny part? Chennai is facing tsunami after tsunami, but the groundwater table is depleted. Tarun pointed to this. There is water and waste, which is a huge issue. Ladies and gentlemen, the picture on the right is actually of 2 lakes burning in Bangalore. These the lakes have caught fire because half of Bangalore dumps its waste into these lakes. 77% of India's sewage is untreated. 40% of Bangalore sewage goes to lakes. And conventional STPs need power, and India does not have enough power. It's a recipe for disaster. If you look at landfills, 2.01 billion tons of municipal solid waste is generated annually, and 33% of that is not managed in an environmentally safe manner. And this is global information. Global waste is expected to increase by 70% over the next 30 years to a staggering 3.4 billion tons. And again, a disaster waiting to happen. Without improvements in the sector, life on this planet will be unlivable. If you look at India, we are not far from our cities becoming landfills. By 2030, we will need a landfill the size of Bangalore. And every 10 years, you will need a landfill the size of a city. Where will urban population move? Again, if you people have been following what's happening in India, and Jonathan, you come to India regularly, the air quality in Delhi is unbreathable. 1.2 million lives were lost due to toxic air. And I mentioned that, indoor air quality is 5x worse than outdoor air quality. But there is a danger that has not come to the surface. We're all using mobile phones. We're all using Wi-Fi's. Electromagnetic radiations in buildings are 1,000 times the permissible levels as mandated by WHO. 1,000 times. We have buildings which are close to 16,000 times the permissible levels. And this is with 4G. With 5G, the number of cell towers are going to quadruple. You can only imagine what's going to happen to our brains. They're going to get fried. And this is a map, a heat map of Bangalore. In 1973, 68% of Bangalore was green cover. In 2020, 93% is urban concrete. Average temperature increased by 8%, and the maximum temperature increased by 12.5% in just 13 years. Now, this has huge implications for the real estate industry. And the implications are that the Bangalore mean temperature has risen by 64% over 15 years. Now, for every degree increase in temperature, 4% is increase in cost for a HVAC. Our water tables have gone down 32%, and it has increased our annual water cost by 30%. Bangalore's daily waste has gone up 100% in 10 years, and this has increased the annual waste management cost by 7%. Over 15 years, the projected loss by the real estate industry in one city, Bangalore, is $2.3 billion. And nothing can be done to change it unless we change our mindset and our behavior. It is in this scenario that in 2016, that Brigade, which is one of India's largest private sector listed real estate companies, decided that the only way forward for the salvation of the industry and the planet, we needed to bring in technology that could address many of these challenges. But when we started in 2016, this was a Forbes article. The only Proptech category that they looked at was construction tech, collaborative economy, smart real estate, and real estate fintech. Today, having been 4 years in the business, We now know that sustainability is our biggest challenge. Alternate energy, big data, wellness, alternate materials, asset management, legal tech, these are all challenges that we as Brigade REAP, Asia's first accelerator focused on PropTech, are addressing. And as you saw, both EcoSTP and VGOT, this is deep tech. And therefore, we have partnered with Cisco, Intel, Microsoft, and CBRE to actually help companies like VGOT and EcoSTP get to the next level. But we have a very, very stringent selection process. When we started in 2016, there were only 15 companies in the PropTech space listed with the Startup India Council. Today, thanks to the efforts of what my team and I have done, there are 2,000 startups in PropTech. We have personally interviewed and met 700 startups, and we have onboarded 44 startups. The visuals you see on the right are some of India's best known personalities who have selected companies like VGOT and EcoSTP. Vipul Rungta is the managing director of HDFC Capital. It's one of India's largest real estate financing companies. Ram Chandani is the MD of CBRE. Vani Kola is the MD of Kalari Capital. Vipul Rungta, Samir is the MD of Inventors Capital. They're two of India's finest venture capital firms. We work on 6 levers of engagement with the startups. We work on product, and Roland, you asked a question what your challenges are. These 6 levers that we work on are the challenges that PropTech startups in India face. The first challenge is the problem that they're solving something that the real estate industry is willing to pay money for? Therefore, the product has to solve a real problem that people are willing to pay for. Is the technology robust and scalable? As the business scales, do they have to revisit technology? So we look at IPs and we look at technology. Abhilash talked of how they've completely reinvented business model. That's how VGOT today is the largest water management company in India. Then we work on people, recruitment, co-founder issues. We work on go-to-market. We work on scale. We help startups raise funding. And our objective is to help the startups create sustainable companies for growth. Very intensive program. It's a 17-week program. And both Abhilash and Tarun will say that it's a high intensity, Abhilash is smiling. We have fights, we have scraps, we chew each other's brains. But at the end of the day, it's all towards one goal, to make sure that the company succeeds. We have 10 mantras. We work with startups and we tell them that we must create must-have solutions and not good-to-have ones. We focus on unit metrics in a fanatical manner. We do not take decisions without data. We fine-tune business and product strategies every 3 months based on consumer insights and market insights. We build powerful and monetizable IPs. We tell startups, don't chase funding, build strong fundamentals, investors will come running to you. I'm proud to say that Abhilash has raised millions of dollars. Tarun has raised money from some of the best known investors from the US. We talk of unlocking value and not chasing valuation. We focus on acquiring paid customers and not free customers. We are very clear in the real estate industry, cash flow is king. And this is true of even Africa. Accountability and measurability and disruption should be core in your DNA. These are startups. I'm not going to go through the details. If you go to www.brigadereap.com, you'll get to see. But the beauty is we have, the startups in green are addressing severe sustainability issues. You have Smarter Dharma, which is building the world's first SRP, Sustainability Resource Platform. You have Natura, which is greening concrete jungles. You have EcoSTP and VGOT, whose stories you heard. We've got alternate energy. We have companies that are actually helping real estate industry generate cost savings and increase efficiencies. And during COVID times, the startups on your right in red are actually solving COVID issues. But the important thing is,
John,
all
if
of
I
these
can ask you
startups
to wrap
have
up,
delivered.
I'd like to pass the baton to Roland, please.
Yeah, I'm done. So these are the results that you've seen. The good news is that the startups have grown in revenue. The startups have grown in value. We have 42% of startups have raised money. 8 startups have raised money in the past 4 months. And they have won recognition across the world. And last month, Brigade REAP got identified as the best accelerator program in the country. This is a slide that I wanted to spend some time, but because of time. But the interesting thing is, if you look at data, in the last 5 years, the Proptech ecosystem globally has raised $60 billion in investment, as against $4 billion in the 5 years prior to that. If you look at India, the Proptech startup ecosystem has raised $3 billion in the last 5 years, as compared to $300 million in the year before. So I'd urge both the real estate industry and the Proptech ecosystem in Africa and South Africa to actually take the opportunity, seize the opportunity. There's money to be made, and there is a lot at stake for your country. Thank you. John, I'm over by about 6 minutes.
Thank you very much. John, thank you so much. Forgive me, I'm conscious of time, and we were interrupted by some data feed issue with Roland. Roland, would you continue with your presentation for the next 5 minutes, please?
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, I think the connection went back. Yeah, same here. I'm happy to be back, and you know, I'm very excited to listen to John. You know, you guys are doing great stuff in your market, and I think this is why I think Sean has made this happen, so that we can share experiences, learn, and see how to even collaborate. You know, so some of the things that I was saying, John has clearly shown in his presentation in terms of the complexities of the market and in terms of the kind of solutions that are coming up. So I think where I left off was I was talking about crowdfunding regulation and how crowdfunding regulation, because finance is a major component for real estate in Nigeria, whether it's in the housing or it's office space. And basically, like one of the presentations made by Landlord Technology, you know, you see that people travel, you know, 4 hours to and another 4 hours from work just because they want to be able to live in a good accommodation. And so really, what crowdfunding is then helping to do is to be able to raise money for even property developers and even people who want to do mortgages. But there's no regulation for crowdfunding yet. You know, although the Security and Exchange Commission is doing a lot of work around giving us regulations for crowdfunding. But you've seen a lot of Proptech startup in Nigeria looking at that. I'll give you another example. So part of the regulation, again, around crowdfunding is that startups should raise about $200,000 if you do the exchange rate in Nigeria to be able to do crowdfunding. And you know, in one of the meetings, I said, if you are asking a startup to raise $200,000, that's almost like a Series A funding or Series B funding for the startup to be able to do business. Okay, so those are some of the complexities in the market that we are working towards making sure that it is solved to be able to enable a lot of the startup in the market. I like the answers that Abhilash gave in terms of his response, in terms of how you guys have scaled up. You know, now you have a bank who's on the board, who's helping with financing and all of that. And I think those examples, you know, will help Africa, you know, and I think for me, beyond just sharing, you know, it's also very good listening to what is happening over there. I think because of time, I'll just stop for now, and then if there are questions, we can take that, we can take it up from there. So thanks very much, John.
Thank you very much, Roland. It's very kind of you to. Roland, thank you very much. It's very kind of you to stop, although you had exactly 1 more minute to continue. And I'm really pleased that local experts from an Indian point of view for John and from a Nigerian perspective for you are able to make these points about how ripe the transformative technology in respect to complex markets. I'd like to open up our panel discussion this afternoon with a question specifically. I'd like John to respond first, and then Roland, and then we've got a list of 4 questions within the time provided. We're going to see if we can get through all of them. I think the first question is in respect to startups and what they should consider. John, the background to my question is that startups tend to suggest high valuations for their enterprise without considering good business principles. My question is, how crucial is scalability, sustainability, commercialization, and relevance to the success of their enterprise? John.
So Jonathan, over the past 2 years, India has seen a course correction in the venture capital mindset. Today, while they were,
John,
can you hear me, Roland? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. So while valuations were sky high, today every investor is looking at a path to profitability. So building a business for the sake of profitability and not valuation are today becoming key pillars for investability by the VC community in India. And companies like VGOT and companies like EcoSTP are racing ahead both in scale with an eye on profitability. In fact, EcoSTP has been profitable for several months, and I think that path is going to continue. So building strong fundamentals, John, is very, very critical.
Okay. My question is more specific in respect to the importance of scalability, sustainability, commercialization, and relevance. I wanted to, from your very excellent presentation, in your experience, I'm sure that you'll find that it's terribly important for enterprises to consider good business principles over seeking high valuations. Is that correct?
Absolutely, 100%. In fact, both Abhilash and Tarun are exemplary candidates who have demonstrated the fact that build a business for profitability and not valuation. And they're building scale. I mean, to save in 2 years 3 billion liters of water, to save 100,000, to process 100,000 kiloliters of waste is not easy. So the fundamentals are strong. The business fundamentals are strong. And I think on the strong fundamentals,
yes,
you can scale.
Okay. Thank you, John. Roland, how would you respond? What are your thoughts in this matter?
So I'll tell you in terms of, and I think when I listened to John, I think he was very clear in
Roland?
terms of, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, Jonathan, you can't hear me. It looks like Jonathan cannot hear me.
No, I can hear you, Roland. Shall I repeat the question, Roland? I'm terribly sorry.
No, I was already answering. You're talking about the sustainability and scalability and all of that, right?
Yes, the scalability, sustainability, commercialization, and relevance in respect to the success of an enterprise. What are your thoughts?
So clearly, and I think, again, without repeating all John had said, I think you should aim to solve a problem, okay? If there is no problem, then don't bother with the technology. All right, so that's it. There's no need creating fancy tech. If there's no problem, then that's what I always tell a lot of the startups that are, coming up with different ideas in Nigeria. If there's no problem, then don't try to fix it. Leave it. So, and that is where product is key.
Yes.
And then the other point, okay, that I also agree with John clearly is that it's not about what you are valuing your company. You must ensure once people cannot pay for your product, for your service, then you don't have a product yet. So for me, it's that value that you bring to the table, it what engenders people to pay. And that's how you scale up, and that's how you make commercial success. And it's as easy as that, really.
Jonathan?
Jonathan, are you there?
Sure. But Roland,
Yeah.
do you think that young startup entrepreneurs are listening, or do you think what is more the case in your part of the world in West Africa, that entrepreneurs are more intent in looking at possible valuations? What do you think? What do you think?
So let me tell you what I think, and we have practical examples now. Two of the startups that are here from Nigeria, right? GatePass and Landlord's Technology. Now, I have interest in Landlord's Technology, okay? And I've seen Landlord's Technology. I've seen the guys evolve from just doing some listing product to where they are now, because there's a lot of listing enterprises in Nigeria. So over the last 2.5 years, okay, this Landlord's Technology has evolved without hitting the market yet, because every time you find out that, am I really solving a solution? Okay, am I really solving a problem rather? And you find out that I don't think we're solving the problem, and then you go back. So for entrepreneurs who would not typically listen, maybe those are the ones who have some money bags, or they come from wealthy backgrounds where they have their own money to spend. But for entrepreneurs who are bootstrapping and who are looking at investors to come in, they typically learn these lessons. Another typical example is GatePass. I mean, interestingly, I'm sure Muhyiddin is still on. Interestingly, where GatePass started from is not where they are today. And this is over the period of about 18 to 24 months since I've known them. So the successful entrepreneurs, what you find is they're listening, okay, except there are some money bags who put money into, who put investment into it without properly going through the process, and then you find out that, you know, the startup is failed, and then they are moving on to something else. So really, I think it's a process that any successful startup, you know, should go through. Jonathan?
I think Jonathan's having issues with the link.
Okay.
Jonathan.
Sorry, Roland, do you think that the kind of brigade real estate accelerator program would be appropriate through Africa for startups?
I think we should get John quickly to Africa.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
I think we should get John on the plane. We could get John on the plane to Africa quickly in a hurry.
Yeah, that's actually on the cards, Roland, and I'm delighted you raised that. John spent many years, many happy years in East Africa. I don't know if you, John, if you've been to West Africa, but I think what we need to do is try and get a sponsor for the African Proptech Association so that we can bring you out. I don't think you'll return to India. I think you're going to rebase yourself here. Yeah.
I loved Nairobi. I loved it. But yeah. I'll tell you one thing, Jonathan. Both companies, VGOT and EcoSTP, can actually enter the African market, and anybody who actually works with them will get. So, you know, I just draw a parallel. If you look at the early Indian settlers who are doing well in Africa today, they were early traders. They were traders. With organizations like EcoSTP and VGOT, and we've got many more forward-thinking companies in Africa, if they sign partnerships with such companies, they can get the first mover advantage, because the challenges that Africa has is what India has, and the solution can just be implemented there with minor tweaks. Am I right, Abhilash and Tarun?
Absolutely. We're ready.
Absolutely.
But I'd like everybody to know that whilst Abhilash, you were making your very excellent presentation, and Tarun, yours, I was in touch with a senior an engineer within the local city Cape Town engineering and environmental services department, and I sent them the link to your very fine products. And already there's an ecstasy of interest, simply because in a watertight environment in Cape Town, the appreciation for local STPs as well as better water controls is very much apparent. It would appear that Proptech works by the grace of God and the intervention of modern technology. We can send a link to somebody and get an instant response. We can also get a view as to the appropriateness of appropriate transformative technology and the evaluation of technology from abroad. And for that, John, we are very grateful. My second question is in respect to the real estate companies and their adoption of Proptech. And I'd like, Roland, you to take the lead in responding to this question. The background to my question is, what is preventing a wholesome adoption of Proptech by real estate companies? It seems to me due to the relative lack of skills and expertise in the industry, and this surely limits their own decision-making ability. In your view, what are the pain points being experienced within the real estate industry, limiting their engagement and participation with Proptech? Roland.
So I'll tell you from my experience, okay, because what I've done over the last 2 years, okay, is to try and get traditional real estate players, okay, to begin to work with the startups and kind of incubate them. Now, the reason for this is that the traditional real estate players have muscles, startups do not have. So typically, what have the flexibility and the dynamism of the young startups and the ideas and the creativity. So often at times, it becomes difficult for these traditional real estate players who wants to do this by themselves, to be able to succeed, right? And then that's a problem, okay? I'm now working with startup firms and helping them. So I'll tell you, the pain point, what I see in that scaling of problem is that resources is a challenge. A lot of the startup, a lot of things that I'm encouraging the startups to do right here, looking at Nigeria, you do that to get a good product. Just like John has found, until you do that to get a good product, money will not chase after you. So that's the way I've looked at this. And so part of the things that we're doing at the Nigerian Proptech Association is connecting these startups with traditional real estate players. We've not made too much success, but I think we've done about 3 right now. And we're going to continue to do that because we think that once a solution is provided and it's used with by traditional real estate player, from there, that solution can actually then scale up.
Okay. And John, your response before we debate this a little bit? So what is your feeling about the pain points being experienced within the industry?
So Jonathan, the pain points globally for real estate are the same. And the pain points are to do with the fact that, the real estate market has been stressed for several years. In India, one tsunami after the tsunami has hit the real estate market, and COVID has had a severe impact on supply chain, on people, on labor, and you could not have a worse problem facing the industry. But the good news is that thanks to COVID, the real estate industry in India woke up, and companies like VGOT, LiveSafe, EcoSTP, all of them today are being called every day by real estate companies saying, come help me save money or help me make money. So I think in every problem, there lies large opportunities. And like Roland said, you need bright, fearless, young entrepreneurs to seize those opportunities and build businesses that can address serious problems. So I think this is the phenomenal time, not just for India. The challenges faced in Africa and India are identical. So I think phenomenal opportunity.
Thank you, John. John, Roland, I want to mix things up a little bit. When I take a view on the adoption of Proptech within real estate portfolios, within your own experience, Do you see this as being a shortcoming of the people in the industry right now, that they are more gadgets orientated, that they don't understand data sufficiently, they are more facilities management orientated, and they don't appreciate and understand the importance of asset management? Roland, what is your view?
Okay, so I'll tell you, I think it's a mix of both. And the reason that I'm saying that is when you do a presentation, when you speak to these guys, right, it's really not about them not understanding. You see what I mean? I think it's more about we're already, and that's why I like what the pandemic has done. It's more about we're already we're already on a trajectory, and so we will continue to do that. But what the pandemic has done really, it's become a pivotal moment. Okay, we are at a strategic inflection point where if you don't get onto that new paradigm, it's only going to take a few years, within 2 or 3 years, and then you're out of business because new entrants are going to come into the business. So it's not about them not understanding. It's not about that people don't know that with technology that you can do some of it. I think it's just more of a paradigm shift, and the way that, when you're at a strategic inflection point like this, a few people, there will be early adopters, okay? And that's the message that we're preaching, okay? To try and get as much early adopters who will begin to win in people bit by bit. And definitely, at the end of the day, you will find the laggards joining. But I think it's just a matter of getting early adopters who will continue to be ambassadors and continue to push the frontier for property technology, and down the line, everybody will join in,
Yeah. John?
Absolutely, John. I mean, I completely resonate with what Roland is saying. And, transparency is becoming the order of the day. Real estate, the next generation in India has come to the fore, and they've been educated overseas. They are far more nimble and agile. They're exposed to technology. So I think all put together, COVID has become a great catalyst for rapid adoption, and the timing is right. I mean, the next generation are wanting to bring in far more efficiencies. Different types of business are evolving. I mean, whoever thought the shared economy will create such huge opportunities? And WeWork's largest base out of the US is in India. Co-living,
yes.
Such a big opportunity. Facility management, such a big opportunity.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what is interesting, everybody, is that here in South Africa, I'm finding a slightly different bias, and that is that Proptech integration and purchase decisions are in many cases stymied by people who are not as conversant with technology and innovation as perhaps they could be. And what is happening in South Africa, and again, I can't speak for East or West or North Africa, is that there's a facilities management approach that is taken, which is gadget driven, which is cost driven, and which is not data and return on investment driven. Gentlemen, would you like to comment? Would you like to make any, I know you specifically cannot comment about South Africa, but in your own market, how did you in Nigeria, Roland, and you, John, in India, how did you break that mold of thinking?
So it's a very simple answer for me. There are dinosaurs who will die. And
yes.
and I strongly believe that it is the cockroaches we will rule the world. They are resilient, they are survivors, they seek new opportunities, and it is good for dinosaurs to die, because it suddenly makes people wake up and realize that if they don't smell the coffee and change themselves, they will be history.
Yes.
So it's very obvious. It's survival of the smartest now, not the fittest.
Thank you.
And Jonathan, is the message that we're preaching. Yeah, exactly the message that we're preaching. Exactly the work that we've been doing, just to, because what's going to happen is, so I think it's about a month or a month and a half ago, a young startup firm that's in fintech, got acquired by a major global player. The value was around $200 million. You know, with a fintech ago. So that shook the market to say that a Nigerian startup is being acquired. I mean, that's the message. You know, and the truth is, in real estate, you're not interested in property technology. I keep telling all our clients, as the big guys, you need to find a way to incubate and harness this young startup and provide resources for them, you know, so that the solutions that they provide can help scale your business. So it's the message we're preaching.
Excellent. Yeah, well, I think that we and everybody involved in this webinar is definitely one of the, we're all of the converted, but it is interesting to note that the real estate companies are struggling. And I think it's important that if there was any opportunity, they should try and listen into webinars like this. They would learn a little bit, but more importantly, they would realize that they need to pivot away from the old days. Otherwise, as you've both said, they'll become dinosaurs and the cockroaches will rule the earth. I think that's a very nice analogy. Being an African, I always think about crocodiles, although crocodiles have only been on the earth for 350 million years. So my next question is in respect to the transference of technology within complex markets. We appreciate that India and Africa are both complex markets and are growing. The background to my question is it seems that complex markets are sometimes ignored or avoided when new technology is concerned. There's a myth that high tech just won't work in these markets. My question, and I wonder, John, if you would kick us off, is where feasible, can all technology and innovation be transformed and applied in complex markets like Africa and India? John.
So Jonathan, I have a very simple answer. It is we human beings with our intellect that makes markets complex. And I'll tell you, I have two startups who are presenting to you. When Abhilash goes to a real estate developer and says, listen, I will save you $100,000 a month in operations cost. And when Tarun goes to another real estate developer and says, listen, I will save you $350,000 a year in setting up STPs, money talks, everything else walks. So if your solution is so powerful that it can demonstrate tangible benefits, any complex market will keep aside its complexity and look at the simplicity of the tangible benefits.
I agree. Roland, how do you feel?
Well, again, I think it's just interesting to say that, you know, everybody wants to be able to commercialize and scale up, okay? If it's the message I constantly share with our guys, you know, you must be solving a problem. You know, we have so we keep iterating and ideating. So we have a presentation today, fantastic idea, and then we meet next week and say, what exactly is this solving? And everybody in the room goes quiet. Okay, and then you're trying to ask the question, you know, but this guy is doing this, you know, this company is already doing this, you know, what value is this? So it forces the startup to go back to think, where am I at? Because until it's a numbers game, until you can tell me, okay, what value this technology brings in, then I'm not going to deal. And I think that's basically how we should all continue to push. And that's why for me, having accelerator programs, you know, like John has done, becomes very critical, you know, because if you notice now, a lot of startups, especially looking at Nigeria, for example, in the payment systems, or generally in the financial technology, in the agricultural sector, you've seen startups thrive. But real estate becomes a very peculiar environment where we really need, if we need to push this, we really need to do a lot of work. I mean, these webinars and these conversations are fantastic, but you know, mentorship, accelerator programs, where these guys needs to know that it's not just about creating a tech, you know, a product or solution. It must be solving a problem. And I think that's the most critical thing that all of these guys needs to know.
Thank you. My
Jonathan,
final point. Sorry, John,
I
carry
just
on.
want to add one thing.
Yes.
Can you believe that both VGOT and EcoSTP do not do any business with it without 80% advance hitting their bank? Can you believe that? Can you believe real estate companies doing that? It was unimaginable in India 2 years back. Both VGOT and EcoSTP, unless 80% of advance hits their bank, they don't do business.
Well, actually, John, I can
So
well
this
believe
again
a lot
goes
of
to
things in the real estate industry. The real estate industry, particularly in complex markets, is known to hide a lot of truths. And it's one of the reasons why there is so much scope for opportunity, because there is so much depth for a depth in respect to inefficiency that can be driven out of the system. We haven't even, you know, one of the things that we suggested to Sean is we could actually host a blockchain webinar and conference that I think will blow everybody's minds in respect to how you actually ease the pain of documents and ease of transaction. But that's for 2021. My final point, my final question, gentlemen, is in respect to learnings from complex markets. I think we've touched on it before, but I want to emphasize it for the benefit of all those people who've participated and are listening and are watching from around the world. Much can be learned from complex markets. There are similarities and many learnings. And today we've shared several apps from Nigeria and from India that are clearly gaining market share in their respective markets. My question is, how are we going to bridge the ocean between us? How are African systems and ideas going to get to India, and how are Indian systems and ideas likewise going to come into Africa? John, perhaps you'd like to give an initial response?
In exactly the same way that you and I and 25 other people are on this call sharing experiences. If we get like-minded people together, nothing is impossible. And one beautiful analogy that somebody shared with me was India and Africa have over 100 years of relationship, and many Indians have gone and settled in Africa, and they were trading in essential stuff. And I think the trade of technology will be far easier because you don't need to bridge a physical ocean. You need to bridge a digital ocean. And I think it's now left to the minds of a few who will take that journey forward. Remember, it was one man from Africa, Mahatma Gandhi, who put us on the road to freedom. One man who crossed an ocean.
Yes.
You need one tech mentor like that to bridge this ocean.
True.
Bravo. Well said. Roland, your response?
I agree, absolutely. You know, I said it earlier, put John on the plane, you know, again.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, so I mean, on a serious note, I think we should just develop this from here, okay, and see what frameworks can work and see how we can make this happen. Yeah, I mean, for me, that's the only way to go. I think that EcoSTP and WeGot have got a fantastic solution. I think there are tons of real estate development companies in Nigeria who would want to save money. Sean's doing a great job putting Proptech Africa together. I think we should just connect the dots, you know, and find some ways to pilot something out of this, you know.
Right.
Those are my thoughts.
Thank you. John, Roland, we could have gone on for a few more hours, but we're limited by time. And I'm very grateful to both of you for participating in today's webinar. I'm hopeful that the participants and listeners to this webinar learned a great deal and felt the verve of enthusiasm towards Proptech between India and Africa and vice versa. my takeaways is that the PropTech startups and businesses should prepare thoroughly. They should understand how important it is to apply the principles of scalability, sustainability, commercialization, and relevance to their respective businesses. They should not be initially focused on value and first round funding valuations. The second thing is that there is a great deal of importance must be played on evidence and on data, and working the problem and demonstrating the tangible benefits of their business is extremely important. And then lies the big opportunity, the magnificent opportunity of bridging the ocean with the PropTech packages, systems, and ideas. I'd like to thank you all for participating, and I'm going to hand you over to Sean. Sean, thank you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. This was a thoroughly enjoyable webinar, and I, for one, found it fascinating. I think it's the start of many more interesting conversations. And as PropTech Africa, we obviously had a bit of a false start this year. We had big plans and we had a sponsor, but I'm really glad we got to do this webinar before the end of the year. So a big thank you to John Rowland for your fantastic insights. Really, really appreciate it, and so many valid points and really important points for us to ponder as we go forward. And thank you to our PropTechs who pitched. Thank you to Jonathan for doing a sterling job of moderating. And thank you to everyone else behind the scenes, my partners, Wayne, Sarah, Jonathan, also involved in the preparations. And then obviously there's Kevin, Patrick, etc. and others that will be working with us more in the future. So thanks to everyone. This is definitely a team effort. Please reach out to any of us by any of the sort of channels you'd like to, if you have any questions or queries. And again, thank you for joining us. And we look very much forward to the next one and building our relationship with our Indian colleagues as well. So thank you, everyone, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. Festive season's greetings.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, yeah.
Bye-bye.